Welcome to the Breakfast Leadership Show, where we interview global thought leaders on business, leadership, and life. Here's your host, keynote speaker, best-selling author, and chief burnout officer of the Breakfast Leadership Network, Michael Levitt.
Welcome back. I've got Mike Ciorrocco on the line. C-Roc, how you doing?
What's up, Mike? How you doing, man?
I am awesome. Great to have you on the show. You've got some great things going on. You got a new book coming out too. But before we jump into it, just share a little bit about you and this awesome work you do.
Yeah. So first of all, I always like to start every interview with gratitude because I'm really thankful for the opportunity, first of all, to be on your show, sharing with you and your audience, but also anybody that's willing to hear my voice. I'm very thankful, grateful for, and humbled by the opportunity. So, but yeah, I mean, I've run a large mortgage division for Nations Lending, and I was running through that every single day, waking up every morning, realizing that, wait a minute, I'm not in the mortgage industry. I'm really in the people building business. I build people for a living, and with a focus on helping people that get stuck in setbacks. And so that's the problem that I solve, but I do a lot of things. And so writing a book is, I guess I'm an author now. So I guess that's what makes you an author. And I also have the podcast, What Are You Made Of? For those of you watching, you see the sign back there. That's what that's all about. But I got a lot of things on my plate right now, and I'm fired up about it because I'm on a mission that, you know, really comes down to not being able to be stopped going after my potential, which is, I believe, is limitless.
No, that's awesome. And again, congratulations on the book and obviously on the show and the things in the mortgage industry. You know, in the last few months at the time of this recording, and we're just in the early part of 2021, I know the mortgage industry and talking with other people has been insane because a lot of people are moving right now because, one, they don't like their house because of the pandemic. They've been in the same four walls for months and they go, I don't like this house. Or they get to move because they can work remotely from now on. So they want to exit San Francisco and maybe move to, you know, more suburban area to save themselves a few $1,000s a month in a mortgage payment and a variety of different things. And I know that a lot of mortgage personnel have been working some insane hours to deal with this huge demand. So I think the way that you approach things with it being a people-based situation instead of a mortgage, okay, here, sign this, do this, here's the forms, do this, you know, we need proof of income and all that other fun stuff. Mm-hmm. When you make it a person-to-person exchange, it makes the environment and it makes the transaction more relational than what you typically see.
Transformative.
Yep, definitely. So let's jump in about this book. You know, one, I always ask authors this: why in the world would you give up so much of your time to write a book? Because it is a time-consuming endeavor. Knowing that myself, but you know, what prompted you to write the book, and what's the book about?
Well, the book's called Rocket Fuel, and the subtitle's called Convert Setbacks, period, Become Unstoppable, period. And Grant wrote the foreword. Grant Cardone, if you don't know, the 10X guy, he's a mentor of mine. And he wrote the foreword for the book, which gave me chills reading about it. But the Rocket Fuel concept, Michael, comes from really understanding that the things that stop us in life aren't the setbacks. I'm sorry, they're not. It's not the encouraging people, the successes and wins. It's all the bad stuff, all the toxicity, discouraging people, letdowns, disappointments, all that. So what I found is that if you can convert all those things, not just remove them, but convert them and store them in your tank instead of your trunk and use them as rocket fuel for your future, you don't become resilient, because resilience is not a powerful enough word. You become rocket fueler. You go beyond where your original form is. And so it all started back. I mean, I came from a broken home, and I don't remember my parents ever together. I lived with my dad for 3 years from 8 to 11, went through a lot of psychological, mental abuse. I had step parents got into the mix too. So then all their agenda goes along with all the custody and child support, and anybody that's dealt with that knows what I'm talking about. However, I thought it was an ordinary scenario. Like I thought this is what we're supposed to go through growing up. When I see kids on TV with the mom and dad together, I thought that was just like television shows, and so at one point, when I got to 11, I just knew something wasn't right. I thought it was ordinary, but I just thought, there's got to be a better way. So I got tired of being treated that way, and I told my mom to file court papers. And when I did that, she said, well, I'll do that because this is definitely not normal. You definitely shouldn't be in this situation. But you cannot flip-flop. You need to stick to your guns, because when you believe in something, people are going to try to talk you out of it, either to match their own agenda, justify their position in life. Bottom line, it comes down to the fact that you need to you need to be stubborn. And I like to use the word stubborn, Michael, too, because of the fact that persistence is heard by a lot of people. And it becomes almost like a lullaby effect. It goes in one ear and out the other. They don't have a reaction to it. So I like to use words that most people don't use in a positive connotation, which is stubborn. And the definition of stubborn, because I'm big on definitions, there's two words that really resonate with me and get me fired up, which is perversely unyielding. And if you can think about when you want an ideal life or you want something in life, a goal or whatever, and if you're perversely unyielding towards it, you're going to get it. So she told me to stick to my guns. And I remember when the court papers were finally filed and delivered to my dad, I came home from school one day after days of waiting and I was scared to death. He had these papers in his hand, and my dad was my hero. He laid brick and block and concrete, and he had real big forearms and rough hands. And he was my hero. I looked up to him for how hard of a worker he was. He also carried a wad of $100 bills in his pocket with a rubber band around it. And he used to flash it around and show us what we got with money and all this. So I thought that was cool. So he told me to go to my room and wait for him. And I went back there, and he came back, and I was just petrified. And he said, it says here you want to move back with your mom. Is that the case? And I said, yeah. And he said, well, I don't really understand. I mean, they don't have any money there. Like they're poor. You got everything you need here. Why would you want to go there and not have what you need and this and that? So he just wasn't grasping the fact of what was going on. He was either blinded by it or I don't know. But I said, no, I'm sticking to my guns in my mind. I said, I'm making this decision. I'm going to stick with it. I'm not going to open this up for discussion. He said, okay. So he takes the wad of $100 bills out, peels one off, crumples it up, and throws it at me and said, here, you're going to need this then when you're living on the streets with your mother. And, when that happened, I'm an 11-year-old kid. This is, felt like, my hero's throwing in the towel on me. My trainer's throwing in the towel on me. On the other hand, he might have felt that I gave up on him. I don't know. But at the end of the day, I felt that stubbornness kick in. And I remember my mom telling me, stick to your guns. I felt the stubbornnness kick in. I'm like, I'm not going to need that money. I'm not going to need this. Like you're not dictating my future. And the other thing I thought, Mike, was that I could be somewhat of a role model to people because I felt this was an ordinary situation. And I felt like I was strong enough to be able to handle it and then continue on. So 3 years ago, I'm 40, almost 44. 3 years ago, I ran into a situation, which I can get into deeper, but just to save time, I ran into a situation that caused me to really analyze my life and why my graph was always on an upward trajectory. And everything that came my way that would try to stop me or normal people would just stop, I kept going. And what I found was I was converting everything that could stop me into rocket fuel. And that was propelling me forward. And once I became aware of it, instead of my graph going like this, over the last couple of years, my graph went straight up in the air like a rocket trajectory, which I think that when you become aware of something and you're not just living it subconsciously, you could throw rocket fuel in it and it blasts you off. So that's what it came down to. And when we're talking about writing a book, I had to get this message out to people because I see how powerful it is in my life and what it's done for me. And then to read the forward after Grant wrote the forward about what rocket fuel concept means to him in his personal life and his business, and seeing the $2 billion plus in real estate that he's accumulated and the success he's had in his business and influencing, it just gave me chills to read that. So that's why I took the time for it.
No, it's an amazing backstory. And, one of the things that jumps out at me with people and I'm looking forward to this book because you can use the analogy of a lot of times people feel like there's a bunch of bricks that are being thrown at them in life. And I'm always of the opinion, well, then take those bricks and elevate yourself. Use those as stepping stones to get you to where you want to be and continue to do that. I love the analogy of using all of these challenges, setbacks, issues, whatever you want to call them, and using them to make yourself better, to rise above that and blast off into the things. It's amazing that you were aware of the trajectory when others weren't. because you're like looking around going, okay, why am I doing well and everyone else seems to be plateaued or maybe kind of riding the wave a little bit or going down, and you're going up. That's a crucial skill, because unfortunately a lot of people don't have that clarity to be able to look at things that way. So by you doing that, I think just added more rocket fuel, pardon the pun there, to the existing rocket fuel. And that's why you continue to see, the ascend that you have.
Yeah. And the other thing, my mom, when I was at a young age, 3 or 4 years old, I remember her always saying, you're going to be a leader. You're going to be inspiring. You're an inspiration. And she programmed my mind before I even knew what those words were. So I approached life, my whole life, with, I'm going to lead people. I'm going to help people. I'm going to do something to guide people. And I was around a lot of broken people, man. Like, even after I left my dad's house, I had uncles and my they alcoholic, drug addicts. My grandmother committed suicide. And I wasn't okay with that. I wasn't okay with that just being the case. And that's just the way people are. So, I think that when you are put in a position to lead and influence people, you cannot help, if you're taking the steps to do so, have an upward graph. Because you're every decision that we're making when throughout my life, is this taking me towards where I want to go or away from it? I like to break things down real simple, because there's a lot of chaos in the world. There's a lot of chaos and adversity. And I think if we break things down and make it simple, it makes it really easy to dig out of a hole or blast off out of a hole, so to speak, by just making those two distinctions, whether it's towards the goal or away from the goal. And I always have a saying, thrust is a must. Thrust is a must. I have to be moving forward. Like, if I go backwards, and I hit the wall, like, where else am I going to go? There's only so far you can go back. So I'm going to go forward, and I'm going to fail forward. Bottom line. So that's just the way I roll, and it's worked for me. And I want to share that with other people.
That's amazing. And I know in the pre-show, we discussed this a little bit. At the timing of this recording is the day after the riots and the situation at the U.S. Capitol. And I want to hear your thoughts on that, in light of the work that you do in climbing out of the hole and blasting off and thrusting forward.
Well, first of all, me, you, none of us can control what's going on. So I choose to direct my time intentionally to things that I can control and I have responsibility for. My thoughts on it, I'm going to share real quick. I don't know what's true and what's not true. I don't know who's involved and who's not involved. When we had Black Lives Matter and we had the riots and protests and everything that was going on before in the streets, I don't know for sure that it wasn't far right wingers getting involved to make it look worse, or far left wingers involved to make it look worse. And same thing with yesterday. I don't know for sure if it's far right wingers that are doing it, and then Trump supporters got mixed in it, and then there's also Antifa maybe getting a mix to make it look like, I don't know. And I'm not saying like which viewpoint I believe in and all that. I'm just saying I don't know the truth. I don't think any of us know the truth. I think that there's a lot of things going on to keep us divided, because as we're divided, one, people can remain in power because nobody can overtake them. But I also think that mankind survives when there's a little bit of divisiveness, because it creates a problem to solve, a constant problem that we can be working on. And to me, being on this planet, I think we all need problems to solve for purpose. So I think somebody might be smarter than me and maybe smarter than all of us, and understands that, we really need to have some problems in this world to have purpose. And they create these things. Again, I'm just speculating here, but at the end of the day, I don't waste a lot of time on it. I see it as entertainment. I look at the entertainment time that I have slotted in my day. And if I feel like watching television, then that's the entertainment I want to watch. I watch it, and then I move on to my mission.
Yeah, it's a great approach to it, because otherwise you could, fall into the abyss of watching it for days on end, and that doesn't help you grow or move or anything like that. One of the things in the work I do with burnout and stress, I advise people, do not spend a ton of time watching the news, because it's all negativity. It's going to take you away from your personal mission of what you want to do in your life. I'm not saying by any means live in a cave and don't pay attention to what's going on in the world, because again, like you said, there are opportunities to solve problems. When you solve problems, you grow as an individual, as a community, as a nation, as a planet. And that's, opportunities like this is, there's definitely opportunities to figure out the divisiveness of what's going on in the U.S. How much divided is it? And that's the other thing, going back to where you said, you don't know. Is there division? Yes. How much? Hard to say. It's you can see it based on what is shared, but the camera isn't everywhere, so you don't know the thoughts of someone in Biloxi, Mississippi versus Tuscaloosa, or in Orlando versus San Diego, or Chicago or Minneapolis. There's pockets, and in all of those areas, there's a myriad of opinions and views. That's a beautiful thing. We all have opinions and views, but ultimately, if we all seek to understand, and I think that's one thing that works across the board, seek to understand the other person's point of view in a understanding way, not condemnation, but why do you feel this way? Why do you have this opinion on this matter? There's what mine is. Find common ground, move forward, figure out how to solve things. And that's my hope, is that collectively, we'll all get to that type of point. So we don't have to experience these kind of things again.
Well, here's the other thing. Are you going to, work and then coming home and then watching TV or reading things, and that's how you're determining what you believe? Or are you thinking for yourself? Like, I think the biggest problem that we have on this planet is people aren't thinking for themselves, and they're being told what to believe. And that's the problem that I have. That's the only divisiveness that I care about, is those that are going after it and those that are willing to settle. And that's the divide that I see and care about. And that's what I'm trying to improve the ratio to those that want to go after their potential. Because Michael, the thing is that I believe in God. I believe that I was put here, and we're all put here with a certain amount of potential or blessings. I believe it's limitless, because I believe in an omnipotent God, all-powerful God. And to think that we would have any limitations, and I'm not talking about physically, because we have a physical human body, but mentally and spiritually, to think that there's any limitations on that is really, to me, not believing in an all-powerful God. And so I believe when I wake up every morning, my job is to go after that potential that I was given. And everybody's job is to do that. And if you're not doing that, you're not doing what you were put here on this planet for. That's my belief. I'm firm with it, but I thought of that myself. I didn't have somebody try to tell me that. And so I think that's important distinction to make, is, are you thinking for yourself, or are you being told what to believe and going with it?
Yeah, it's, the phrase question everything in a way to, figure out, and think about certain things or everything. And I agree with you. I think and I've heard the phrase sheeple, and I don't like necessarily saying that, but from my observation, there definitely seems to be an element of that for people. And it's like, well, look deeper, turn the page, maybe dig down deeper into that article, or research a little bit more. Don't take it for what it's saying at a particular news site or information site. Do some research. Using a stock market for analogy. Okay, you're going to buy some stock. Okay, you look at it and you go, okay, this stock is selling for this, and it's up $2. All right, I'm going to buy that because it's going to make me a lot of money. Will it? I don't know. What are the earnings? How much trades are being shared? What are all the other aspects of investing in this? It's like, is it going to make money? It might just have, it might be having a decent day. Like today, for example, a lot of things are up today, but it could easily crash by the afternoon. So do the research, not only on investing, but just in life and things that you consume and everything. And I treat it as it's an investment in knowledge and understanding and making you grow. And when you do that, it's moving you forward, and it's, literally, using your book, adding rocket fuel to your life. And then
thrust is a must.
Yeah. You take off in life, and then, and I agree with you. We all have a calling. We all have skills and gifts that we are here to give and use. And when you are thrusting and reaching different stratospheres that you originally didn't think were possible, the impact, the ripple impact that you have on your world and everyone around you is insurmountable. And it just makes and if everybody would follow that and figure out what their calling is and what their purpose to make the world, the universe, everything better, if everyone applied that, our brains can't comprehend what that would look like. Yep. And that's why I'm thrilled that your book is coming out, because people can grab onto that and go, where's my rocket fuel? What do I need to do to figure that out? Because it makes such a huge impact in your life. You know it. I know it. The people that we in our circle, we definitely see it, and we can tell. We can go, okay, yeah, that person is definitely there. Justin Breen, there's a great example of somebody. Okay, he's skyrocketing in the work that he's doing, and every day I'm looking at something on social media. I'm like, what's he doing now?
That's my guy. That's my guy. I love Justin.
Yeah, no, he's an amazing. Yeah, he's an amazing human being, and he's doing some amazing work. And it's like I'm cheering on, and it's one of the things that I learned a long time ago. A lot of people are like, well, I want to get ahead and I want to be successful. And then they look for comparisons and they're like, oh, Grant Cardone's got, $2 billion in real estate. Yeah, but he didn't always have that.
Nah,
he had some, really, really tough times, as is the case with pretty much all of us. We've all come from some type of challenge. Maybe some people have more than others, but they moved forward and they found their rocket fuel and they took off, and you celebrate that. You don't go, well, I'm jealous. And no, you celebrate that. When someone does well, you celebrate it, because it just puts out such a positive vibe and energy. And I always tell people, the pie is bigger than any of us could ever consume. There's no limit to it. It's endless pie. I don't care if you like pumpkin pie, apple pie, cherry pie, whatever. It's endless. You just go and do what you need to do to get to that level that you want. And when you get there, keep growing. Don't put it into neutral or slam it into park. You can pause and look around and, of course, enjoy what you have in life. And
for one minute.
Feel it. Yeah.
For 1 minute, and then you thrust again.
Exactly. Yeah. Because if Falcon 9 is going like this and like, hey, we got to this point, okay, we're just going to put it in cruise control. No. You got to break through, and the International Space Station, you got stuff to deliver. It's like, keep going, and because if it's like, we're going to wait here. No, the ships don't work that way yet. Maybe they will down the road. They can go, we're going to park out here. We're going to get some drive through and then continue up, space station or Jetsons crap or something like that. But at the end of the day, keep going. So that's awesome.
That's right. And by the way, you can get the book at Mike C-Roc with no K, C-R-O-C, MikeCroc.com/book.
That's perfect. I was going to ask you, where people can find out more about you and in this book and everything else that you're doing. So, yeah. So is there any other links you'd like to share with the audience today?
The other thing is, just follow me on Instagram. I'm all over LinkedIn and Instagram, but Instagram's my favorite. And if you DM me, it's Mikey, Mikey Croc, and shoot me a DM, man. I'm shouting out to a lot of people right now. We're on Clubhouse, and people are DMing me in Clubhouse like crazy, because I'm getting up on stage with some big name people talking, and I love engaging with people. So just reach out to me.
Oh, definitely. And I'll have that in the show notes as well. So, C-Roc, I loved our conversation. I'm so happy for you. And I can't wait for this book to get out in the wild and impact the lives like I know it's going to. So thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate you, man. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening to the Breakfast Leadership Show, part of the Breakfast Leadership Network. Visit breakfastleadership.com for tips on empowering your business and your life.